Hello, and thanks for your attention. This is Eric Hammersmark with AboutTime Technologies. Wanted to walk you through the optional FormsXPress module. I'm assuming you're already an AboutTime customer and contemplating adding this onto your existing system. As you know, we've been around for 14 years. We've won a lot of awards. One I wanted to point to was the Most Innovative Product Award at the World of Concrete. And in 2014, we won that award when we released our FormsXPress module. So it kind of got going with a big splash, and a lot of our existing customers are adding this particular module onto their system. As you know, as an AboutTime user, in the core system, we've always had the ability to do things like job site photos, field notes and work notes embedded in the time records, even employee feedback questions for employees clocking out at the end of the day. But a lot of people needed more robust things that they could collect from the field, so we developed our FormsXPress module. So instead of having people submit things on paper, filling out a complicated form in the field and sending it into the office, we added FormsXPress to do that exact capability. It's wide open. You can design as many forms as you want using any format or sequence of questions that you want to set up. The way it works is, now I've switched over to my control center view, and if I look in FormsXPress, you can have different categories of forms. The choice lists that you set up, really those are drop-down lists that you can create that you can use over and over again in multiple forms. So if you want to make it easy for the people to fill it out, you can create your own drop-down list. You can make tables in the system where they answer questions in our format for forms. A table runs horizontally across the screen. Once you've collected the data, of course, everything rolls into the form manager, which I'll show you in a minute, and we can even take the raw data that's collected in the field and export it out of the forms module so that you can work with it outside the system in something like Excel, for example. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my mobile device here and run you through a couple of examples of different forms that you could use. I can get my air server running here. Here we go. Now I think I can pull this up here. All right, here we go. So on the mobile device, you can do, of course, all of your normal things you're doing in AboutTime. But I've got a foreman here in my system named Carlos. He's got FormsXPress capability. So just wanted to walk you through a few sample forms that you could possibly create. And I've got a few of them that I've set up here. Some of these other salespeople have set up. Could be something like reimbursed mileage for a personal vehicle. That's real simple. You know, I've got my name and the job I'm working at here at the top and the date. Just need to put in my mileage. Maybe I had 100 miles. And the reimbursement amount is 54 cents per mile, so that would be 54 bucks. You just go ahead and save that and send that in with my time records for the day. A more detailed reimbursement might be like a meal expense or something like that. I'll pull up that form here. So again, it knows me. I'm at the top of the form and what job I'm working on and the date. So for the description, I could just type in something like meal. And the amount on this ticket was $19.20. And then by maybe taking a photo of the receipt, there is the photo. So you can just say, I'll use that photo and save it, and that will be attached with the form that I'm sending in. So I don't have to worry about attaching or sending in paper receipts. Now I'm going to skip down here. Here's a more complicated form example. And I think safety documentation is really one of the best purposes for this, because it's all about the documentation when it comes to safety. Some people have their foreman run around the site and do a safety checklist every day. When you're entering a hazardous work area, you might have a checklist of items that you need to be wearing or carrying with you, so you can check those off and sign for them. So there's a lot of different purposes for safety, including even collecting employee signatures for tailgate safety meetings. So here's another one. Again, it knows I'm Carlos. I'm out at this job. I can walk through and check off all these different items that I'm supposed to be checking. Yes, everyone's wearing hard hats. Ladders are good. They're all tied off the way they're supposed to be. Scaffolding's in good shape. But wait, maybe there's something to note on there. So as soon as I touch the note field, my keypad appears, or you could use voice to text if your device supports that. So I'm going to say we have a damaged plank. I can just keep going on here. Everybody got badges, any warnings issued? If yes, I can say Steve's in trouble again. If there was any subcontractors out on the job site too, here's an example of a table in the system. So I can hit add, and in this case, it's got a drop-down list. You know, maybe from Buckner Steel, there was a crew of 5 people, and any notes that I might want to add. And then finally, at the bottom of the form, we asked that the foreman sign. Now, another example of a signature could be, you know, customer sign-off. If you need the customer to sign that they're happy with the job, you can go ahead and collect a signature. So all of these forms pile up on your mobile device, and then at the end of the day, you can see here I created 3 quick forms. Really, all I need to do is hit those forms, and we have a separate sync button for FormsXPress. You can just hit that with your mobile device and send those on into the office. So as those are syncing in, back in the control center, I want to show you where they land and how you can manage those. I can go into FormsXPress and look at my form manager. This is really the main, I like to call it the bucket, where all the forms land from all users everywhere. They all land in this one main forms manager. You can get in here and review the data. If you want to do a printout of the form, you can pull that up and see what the form looks like. You can even email from this position and send an emailed copy of the form out into the field. So it would have your company name and your logo up here, and then here's all the questions on that safety checklist, the way I answered it, and then the foreman's signature down at the bottom. Now, notice here these associations. I've recorded this form. It was me, Carlos, in this case. I was at the Bobcat Stadium doing this particular activity. So those are like cross-references. The associations are another way you can look up these forms. So if I get out of the main forms manager and go over into these different managers, like employee manager, for example, if I go into an employee record, let's say an employee was written up for bad behavior or being late or some other particular issue, you can go into their employee record, and if they had a form that was associated with them, here's Thomas, let's say, and if he had any forms that came in associated with him, I can see that, and this one's empty, but if he had any write-ups against Thomas, it would also show up in his employee record. Same for location and task and equipment. So if you had an equipment inspection, weekly inspections on equipment, that's another possibility for a form. Anytime there's equipment that's inspected, it's going to show up under that piece of equipment. So that way you've got documentation. It's all funneling into the control center. It's all there for cross-reference and documentation. So hopefully that will help you with your AboutTime system and give you additional ways that you can document field activities through the FormsXPress module. If you have any questions, please give me a call. I can also send you some pricing based on your company's usage if you'd like to have a quote. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and have a great day. Bye-bye.